2020 జేఈఈ మెయిన్ ఫలితాలలో ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ విద్యార్థుల ప్రభంజనం. ఆల్ ఇండియా అన్ని కేటగిరీస్లు 18, 35, 251, 253, 582, 606, 778, 780, 812, 821, 1031, 1039, 1303, 1575, 1654, 1753, 1754, 1978 ర్యాంకులే కాక మరెన్నో ఉత్తమ ఫలితాలు సాధించిన విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్.
Next concept is percentage labeling of oleum. So what is oleum? Oleum is H2S2O7. H2S2O7, or you can say oleum fuming sulfuric acid. Oleum or fuming sulfuric acid, it contains SO3 dissolved in H2SO4. SO3 dissolved in H2SO4. What is the meaning of this? That is H2SO4 plus SO3. So in the preparation of sulfuric acid, we take sulfur dioxide, oxidize it to sulfur trioxide. We take sulfur, convert into sulfur dioxide, then we completely convert it into sulfur trioxide. To this we add water. Some of it will react, some of it will remains unreact. Some part is converted into H2SO4, the unreacted part remains as such. The mixture of these two, which we call it as oleum, H2S2O7. So H2S2O7 is nothing but mixture of sulfuric acid formed and unreacted SO3. So I think you have understood the meaning of oleum, H2S2O7 or H2SO4, SO3. What is the meaning of this? It contains SO3 dissolved in H2SO4. Actually this is reactant in the beginning. To SO3 if you add water you will get H2SO4. Some part of H2SO4 remains unreacted. That mixture we call it as oleum or fuming sulfuric acid. Now to this oleum if you add water, right, again you will get some more H2SO4. Why? What is oleum? It is mixture of H2SO4 and SO3. The SO3 present in oleum reacts with water and converts into H2SO4. So this SO3 converts into H2SO4. So when you add water to oleum, the SO3 present in oleum reacts with water and convert into H2SO4. Due to this, the mass of the solution, the mass of this oleum solution will increase. Why it increases? Because the amount of H2SO4 is increasing. The amount of H2SO4 present will increase. So what is this percentage labeling of oleum? So, right, how to define this? When I take 100 grams of oleum and dilute it with desired amount of water, the total H2SO4 obtained, we call it as percentage labeling. Why I am saying total H2SO4 obtained? In the oleum itself initially you have some amount of H2SO4. Upon dilution SO3 again reacts and converts into H2SO4. This is initially present, this H2SO4 is initially present, this H2SO4 is formed after dilution. The total amount of H2SO4 present in 100 grams of oleum upon dilution with the desired amount of water, we call it as percentage labeling of oleum. So once again, what is percentage labeling of oleum? The total amount of H2SO4 obtained when oleum is diluted with the desired amount of water, right? We call it as percentage labeling of oleum. So what I can do is equal to a total amount of H2SO4. So mass of H2SO4 initially present, mass of H2SO4 initially present plus mass of H2SO4 formed mass of H2SO4 initially present plus mass of H2SO4 formed after dilution, right? This total mass we call it as percentage labeling of oleum, percentage labeling of oleum, right? Let us see some example. So let us see some example. Suppose some 100 grams of oleum we have taken. To this, say you have added 9 grams of water. 9 grams of water. Let us see what is the meaning of this. So if I take 100 grams of sample, H2SO4 plus SO3. Say this is 100 gram sample of oleum. We don't know the weight of SO3, we have to find the total amount of H2SO4, that is the meaning of percentage labeling here. So let us assume the weight of SO3 present as x grams. Then what will be the weight of H2SO4? Out of 100 x grams is SO3, 100 minus x grams. 100 minus x grams. You are diluting this 100 gram sample of oleum. The total amount of H2SO4 obtained when 100 gram oleum is diluted with desired amount of water, we call it as percentage labeling of water oleum. Here we are taking 100 grams of oleum, to this we are adding 9 grams of water. Let us see what will be the percentage of this oleum. That means you have to find the total mass of H2SO4. So what is the weight of H2SO4 initially present? 100 minus x grams. We have to find the value of x and we have to find the amount of SO4 that is formed. So when it is diluted, with water, 9 grams of water. Let us see what happens. When you add water, out of these two, SO3 reacts with water, of course, to form H2SO4. Of course, to form H2SO4. Now it is balanced. 1 mole of SO3 requires 1 mole of water to form 1 mole of sulfuric acid. 1 mole of SO3 means sulfur, 32, 1 into 32, 3 into 16, 48, right? 6 is 48, okay. So 8 to 10, 4 plus 3, 7, 8. So 1 mole of SO3 is nothing but 80 grams. 1 mole of water is nothing but 18 grams. 1 mole of H2SO4 is nothing but 98 grams of H2SO4. This is stoichiometric relation. But what is given for us? 9 grams of water we are adding. So we are assuming this as X. So for 18 grams of water, 18 grams of water reacts with how many grams of SO3? 80 grams. So once we are reducing it to half, right? 18 to 9. We are taking only half amount of water. So the amount of SO3 required must be half. That is nothing but this must be 40 grams. For 18 grams you will get 98 grams of sulfuric acid. Right? For 9 grams you will get half. That is nothing but 49 grams of H2SO4. So the amount of H2SO4 initially present, okay, percentage labeling of this oleum. Mass of H2SO4 initially present, plus mass of H2SO4 formed after dilution. After dilution. Mass of H2SO4 initially present, how much we have? 100 minus X. So this is 100 minus X grams plus mass of H2SO4 formed after dilution, right? 49. Why we are taking 49? Because we are adding only 9 grams of water. So this is nothing but 49 grams. Now what is X? X equal to 40. So 100. That means out of this 100 grams, 40 grams of SO3 is present. 100 minus 40, that is 60 grams of H2SO4 is present. So 60 plus 49, that is nothing but 109%. So this is the percentage level, 109% labeling of oleum. So for 100 grams of oleum we are adding 9 grams of water. So let us take one more example. What happens when oleum is diluted with 18 grams of water? So let us take oleum, which is a mixture of H2SO4 plus SO3. So we have to take 100 grams of oleum. Let us assume X grams of SO3 is present. So initially the amount of H2SO4 present is 100 minus X grams. To this oleum we are adding 18 grams of water, right? So what happens when diluted with 18 grams of water? So we are adding 18 grams of water. SO3 plus water gives H2SO4. So same story, let us write 1 mole here, 1 mole here and 1 mole. So this is 18 grams, require 80 grams of SO3, you will get 98 grams. This is the stoichiometric mole ratio. So when I add 18 grams of water, then it will combine with 80 grams of SO3. That means in this volume the amount of SO3 present is 80. Therefore, amount of SO3 which is X must be equal to 80 grams. So amount of H2SO4 initially present in oleum, right? That is equal to 100 minus X, that is 100 minus 80, you will get 20 grams. So you have 20 grams of H2SO4, 80 grams of SO3, right? For such oleum you require 18 grams of water for dilution, right? So amount of H2SO4 formed, of course after dilution, that is understood, that is equal to 98 grams. So percentage labeling of oleum, that is equal to 20 plus 98, that is equal to 118 percentage. So what is the maximum percentage labeling of oleum? That depends upon the amount of SO3. First, what is oleum? It must contain, it is a mixture of H2SO4 and SO3. Both must be present, H2SO4 and SO3, right? So to determine the percentage labeling, we always take 100 grams of oleum. Suppose if 100 grams of oleum is of SO3, if the sample contains only SO3, then it must not be considered as oleum, because if it is the entire 100 grams is SO3, that means the amount of H2SO4 will be 0. Then it cannot be called as oleum. Oleum is mixture of both H2SO4 and SO3. If all the 100 grams contains only SO3, then it is called as SO3. Let us take that imaginary case. Suppose if all the 100 grams is of SO3, then what happens? Suppose if all the 100 grams of SO3 is, oleum is SO3. Let us imagine this case and solve it. What happens? So all the 100 grams is SO3. We are assuming that, say this is 1 mole, 1 mole, 1 mole. So this is 80 grams required, 18 grams of water, and you will get 98 grams of H2SO. Suppose if it is 100 grams, then what happens? So what I will get if all the 100 grams is SO3, right? The amount of H2SO4 formed, amount of H2SO4 formed will be equal to 100 into 98 by 80. 100 into 98 by 80. 100 into 98 by 80. So I think if you solve this, you will get around 122.5. That means if all the 100 grams of SO3 is, right, if all the 100 grams is SO3, 100 grams of oleum is SO3, then the amount of H2SO4 found will be 122.5. But can I consider it as oleum? No, I cannot call it as oleum. Why? Because oleum means both should be present. If all the 100 grams of this oleum is taken as SO3, then the initial amount of H2SO4 present will be 0. That means the percentage labeling of oleum cannot be greater than or equal to 122.5 percentage, because there should be at least some amount of H2SO4. If all the 100 grams of oleum is considered as SO3, then the amount of H2SO4 you will get is 122.5. So percentage labeling of oleum cannot be greater than or equal to 122.5, because if you consider, there will be no amount of H2SO4. If there is no amount of initial amount of H2SO4, you cannot call it as oleum. So the percentage labeling of oleum cannot be greater than or equal to 122.5. Right. The next topic is titrations. See, titrations are different types. Here we study particularly in this topic, let us try to concentrate on simple titrations. I mean acid base titrations and redox titrations. So we are not going to study here in this particular topic like back titrations, double titrations. All these titrations requires the knowledge of indicators. Indicator topic will study in ionic equilibrium, that is coming topic. Chemical equilibrium, then we will go for ionic equilibrium. So at the end of ionic equilibrium, we study a topic called indicators. Once you complete the indicators, then it is easy to understand the double titrations and back titrations and other successive titrations or precipitation titrations, etc. Right. So here we don't require the complete knowledge of indicators. So we will concentrate mainly on acid base titrations and redox titrations involving permanganometry and dichrometry. So again we will try to revise this after completion of the topic called indicators in ionic equilibrium, right. So don't just panic by seeing the back titrations, double titrations in your book. We will study them, but we will study after the completion of the topic called indicators, and indicators we will study in ionic equilibrium. So for the time being here titrations, particularly we study acid base titrations. And redox titrations involving permanganometry, dichrometry, permanganometry and dichrometry. So acid base titrations. So what happens in titrations? We try to standardize a solution. So I am going to use few words. Standardizing a solution. What is the meaning of standardizing a solution? Finding its concentration. Finding the concentration of unknown solution. Some solution will be given to you. You have to find its concentration. You have to find its molarity, or you have to find its normality. Finding this concentration, molarity or normality, we call it as standardization of solution. Standardization of solution. How do you standardize a solution? The answer is by volumetric titration. So here we have a burette like this. And some conical flask, it is fitted to some stand. So this is called burette, this is conical flask. Here we take two different solutions, right? Acid in one and base in other, right? So we have to take the solution whose concentration we have to find. Solution whose concentration is to be determined. Whose concentration is to be determined. So the solution concentration we have to find. Right, here we will take some volume. So we know volume. Its volume is known, say some 20 ml or 10 ml, that will be provided. Now here we take some standard solution. What is standard solution? Whose concentration is known. Right, we fill it completely. Right, we fill it. Solution whose concentration is known. That means we know its normality or molarity as well as volume. Right. So here we use the chemistry. What is the chemistry? They react. After completion of the reaction, the number of gram equivalents of reactants reacted must be equal to number of gram equivalents of products formed. I am using the same principle of gram equivalence. So, number of gram equivalents of acid reacted must be equal to number of gram equivalents of base reacted, or number of gram equivalents of base reacted must be equal to number of gram equivalents of acid reacted. So, at the end point, we call it as end point. I am using the word called end point, that means neutralization point. At end point, that means after completion of the reaction, we stop this. We have a nozzle here. So, here we keep on adding the solution, right. At end point, that means after the completion of the reaction, the color of this solution changes. For that, we add some another substance, we call it as indicator. As I said, we will study about indicators separately. So, I am not going into details of the indicators. Indicator is a substance which shows color change at end point. How it shows, what are the different substances we can use indicator, that we will study separately. So, indicator is some substance which shows color change. What do you mean by color change? Colorless solution becomes color, or color solution become colorless, or one color changes to another color at the end point. What is this end point? That means completion of the reaction. Whatever the acid or base you are taking, it will be completely reacted. Once it is completely reacted, I will have salt and water. So, if there is no acid or base left here, suppose if I take acid here, you have to take base here. If I take base here, you have to take acid here, right. So, when they react, after completion of this solution, after complete reaction of this solution present here, that call it as end point, right. The color will change. It may be colorless to color, color to colorless, or one color to another color. That is done by this indicator. So, which is visible to us. So, since the color change is visible to us, you can stop adding this solution. Thereby, the reaction or volumetric titration is completed. So, that point we call it as end point. At end point, what happens? Number of gram equivalents of acid reacted must be equal to number of gram equivalents of base reacted. How do you find number of gram equivalents? N into V, normality into volume of acid, must be equal to N into V of base. Number of gram equivalents is nothing but normality into volume of solution in liters. This is one way, if normality and volume is given. If normality is not given, then how do you find normality? Normality equal to weight by equivalent weight into 1 by V in liters, or weight by equivalent weight into 1000 by V in ml. Remember, if this is in ml, this must be in ml. If this is in liters, this must be in liters. They must be present in same units. If this is in liters, number of gram equivalents. This is also in liters, number of gram equivalents. If they are in ml, then you have to say number of milligram equivalents. If volume is in ml, then you have to pronounce it as number of milligram equivalents. Number of milligram equivalents of acid reactant must be equal to number of milligram equivalents of base reactant. Once again, if volume is in liter, then we have to use gram equivalence. If volume is in ml, then you have to use milligram equivalence. So, if normality is not given, then you have to use this formula. If volume is in liters, N into V in liters is weight by equivalent weight. If volume is in ml, weight by equivalent weight into 1000. So, I will write both. Weight by equivalent weight, weight by equivalent weight of acid must be equal to weight by equivalent weight of base if volume is in liters. If volume is in liters, or you can cancel, no problem, weight by equivalent weight into 1000. This becomes milligram equivalence. If volume is in ml. If volume is in ml. Right. If equivalent weight is not given, then how do you find equivalent weight? Equivalent weight equal to molecular weight by valency. Equivalent weight equal to molecular weight by valency. So what I can write here? Weight by molecular weight of acid by, what is the valency of acid? Basicity of acid. Basicity of acid into 1000. Or weight by molecular weight by, what is the valency of base? Acidity of base. Acidity of base into 1000. This is for base. Now, if molarity is given, now recollect the relation, normality equal to molarity into valency. So what I can write here? Instead of normality, what I can write? Valency of acid into molarity of acid into volume of acid equal to valency of base into molarity of base into volume of base. What is valency of acid? Nothing but acidity, basicity of acid. Basicity of acid into molarity of acid into volume of acid equal to what? Valency of base. What is the valency of base? Acidity of base into molarity of base into volume of base. Right, coming to redox titration. Redox titration means an oxidizing agent versus reducing agent. Like acid versus base, we take oxidizing agent versus reducing agent. So one of them will be oxidizing agent, other will be reducing agent. Out of these two, you have to find the concentration of one of the solution. Right, same story, we take some oxidizing agent here, reducing agent here, then we have to find the concentration of reducing agent. We add indicator sometimes to find the end point. At end point, number of gram equivalents of oxidizing agent reacted must be equal to number of gram equivalents of reducing agent. So instead of acid, you have to replace it with some oxidizing agent, base with reducing agent. That is how you have to understand. So remember, as I said, I am not explaining about indicators. Indicator plays important role, right? To understand the chemistry of indicators, we have to study the equilibrium and we have to understand the meaning of pH. Since we haven't completed the pH, you will not understand properly. So I am not going in details of indicators. Right. So let us write for. So I think you have understood for acid and base at end point. End point is nothing but after completion of the reaction. That means complete neutralization of the reaction. Right. So we have 4 variables, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 will be provided. How? Suppose if you know normality of base, here you are taking base, right? Normality of base will be given, right? When you open this nozzle, volume of base will be run till end point. So you can see the volume of base from the burette reading. So you know normality and volume. Volume of acid taken will be given some 10 ml, 20 ml, right? So the unknown is normality of acid. Since you know V, N, V of base, you can easily calculate the fourth one, or vice versa. So let us write for what you call redox titrations, permanganometry.
ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యారంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి, జేఈఈ అయినా, నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్.